Hello, I'm Sue Perkins and I'm an Honorary Fellow and I am keeping this outfit. So I get quite a lot of emails from through my agent, and they're not all good. I mean, some of them are quite specific. They come from random people wanting to know, sometimes quite odd things, making requests that I can't fulfill, don't want to fulfill, would quite like to fulfill, but they live halfway around the world, or they're in prison sometimes. But this one, actually I got halfway through reading it, and I didn't know who they were describing because the letter was so nice about me, but also I just was really moved. Honorary degrees are so far removed from what I thought I'd ever have. I was chuffed to get my own degree. I don't come from my parents didn't go to university, and so it was a really big deal. And then to get this was just a bit overwhelming, really. It's wonderful. Yeah, and one of the few emails I've actually read all the way through in my life, so it was a real victory on that front. The ceremony was amazing today. I mean, I think the outfit speaks for itself. I brought my own. I didn't even need them to have actually handmade this. I love the pomp of it all. There was some flag bearers. There was what looked like a large ice cream cone, which I now discover is a mace. There was a lot of tradition, but there was also a lot of fun and a lot of youth and a lot of energy. And I was just very proud to be standing alongside all those kids who've worked so hard and who are now going off into the next phase of their life, which of course is loan repayment. Yeah, I mean, I'm into this. I sort of tried to resist it for a bit, and then once the hat went on, I went, guys, I'm in, and I'm keeping this. Well, they don't know it yet, but I'm getting on the minibus in this. Falmouth Uni is a place. I lived in Cornwall full time for about 7 years, and it's a sort of campus I've watched grow really, but was never actually allowed onto until now, for various security reasons that weren't made incredibly clear at the time. Apparently you just can't walk into a university these days. My impressions are it's got to be one of the most beautiful campuses in the country for a start. I mean, we all know how magnificent Cornwall is and the scenery and the natural world enveloped around us, but it's such a fantastic creative hub, and you really get a sense of that. There are young people who are allowed to express themselves, who are allowed to form communities, who are allowed to be at the sharp edge of everything that they love doing, and it's needed more than ever really now. The arts are suffering hugely, and I take great comfort in knowing that all these young people are going to try and, repopulate the denuded landscape of creativity. Just, I think, the most pretentious thing I've ever said. So I didn't come to Cornwall until I was about 35, and I went on holiday to Zena, which is on the north coast, down in West Penwith. And I just started crying when I was packing up the car, like a normal person does after a week's holiday, just normal. And I felt this incredible connection with it, and I'm quite a spontaneous person, so I sold my flat 3 weeks later and came and lived down here, not knowing anybody. And in quite a remote part of West Penwith. And it has been the most incredible place for me to be myself, to be calm, to be relaxed in nature, to meet my local community, to have friends and family come and stay and have their holidays here. It's my favourite place in the whole world. It's the place that I call home, even though annoyingly my work is 331 miles away. Exactly. And even with the new bypass. It's incredible, and the idea that you could come and study here and be a student in this place must be mind-blowing. I think it's just a uniquely tough time in the arts at the moment, and I think that the conventional forms of artistic expression are fading a little bit. But I say that not with any sense of depression, because I know this place has absolutely equipped them to be resilient, and so many of the courses now go hand in glove with the digital world, with the advances in AI, with using using what is virtual and what is real in combination. So I think think they'll be okay. I think it's old dinosaurs like me that cling to the sort of legacy expressions that start panicking. Actually, I as I said, I can't wait to see what they come up with and not understand it. So we started out, one of our earliest jobs was writing for French and Saunders, and I mentioned in my speech, at the time there were really very few people doing comedy on television, and it would have been very easy for a very established double act to just try and suppress all opposition, But I got rung up. Mel and I had done a terrible sketch in the middle of the night. It was on an ITV in the middle of the night. And that's where it should have been on, quite frankly. It found its natural resting point. But anyway, Jennifer had watched it and was sort of intrigued by us. And the next day I got a call. I was signing on at the time. I was unemployed and living in a squat. And the phone went, and I picked it up, and the voice at the other end said, "Hello, it's Jennifer Saunders." And I went like, "It is," and put the phone down. And about 10 minutes later, Mel phoned and said, "Jennifer Saunders called me." And I just went outside very slowly and thought, well, that's the end of my career. But we did. We started writing for them. We wrote for French and Saunders, and I wrote for AbFab for a bit. And it was an amazing collaborative journey. We stayed in really nice hotels we'd never stayed in before, in the days when television had some money. And because writing was paid so badly, and still is, and it should be rewarded in greater sense than it is, but they also got us performing because they realised we'd make extra cash that way. So we appear quite a lot in the background as sort of syphilitic peasants, which seemed to be what they want. They always used to make me up by putting Rice Krispies all around my face and then laugh at me, and I've still no idea whether that was actually required for the sketch. But anyway, I was very grateful because it sort of doubled our income from just being writers to being on screen. For me, the secret of a long-lasting comedic partnership is compromat. So I've got a lot of stuff on her. I've got photographs, I've got evidence, I've got anecdotes, I've got supporting documentation and people who witnessed some of the events. Unfortunately, she has similar. So we are mutually bound by a series of awkward, dreadful and sometimes criminal revelations that we're both desperate for each other to keep quiet. And that, I do believe, is the secret to any good creative endeavour. Oh, there's so many things in life I want to try. I'd like to be an architect, but apparently that's 7 years, which is boring, and I don't have 7 years, to be honest, because by the time I graduated as an architect, they'd be like, who's that? So, who's that person wandering on a Zimmer frame? But the age would have a great deal to contribute to the workplace, and I want to make that very clear. It's important for me to say that, and it's also an investment. I'd love to have done that. I'm interested in buildings and light and space. I'm interested in, so that would have been great. I love drawing, and I'd love to have done something like a foundation arts course. I'm super interested in gaming. And I'd love to have learned how to program, and just even in the early days, which is the game with the sort of two rotating bats and the ball bouncing. I mean, to have been able to do that. I mean, now you've asked the question, really anything and everything, and that's the way my brain works. There are a billion different things that I'd like to have done, but hey, I mean, I can still do them, so I probably shall. Do you know what? I did think when I was going out, I was thinking, God, I wonder if I could do a postgrad here. I was thinking, oh, I'd really like to do that. I mean, the sort of advice I'd give to myself is really just what Dawn said, actually. It's this is the greatest time. What are you doing worrying about? I don't look right. Oh, no, you're never going to look as good as you do at 18, okay, or 21, or now. There's no point in looking in the mirror now and going, it's going to get worse. So be in the moment, be present, be happy. And to not be, for me, my advice would be stop pretending you're like everybody else and just be yourself, which is what I said. I was a late developer into authenticity, and I feel a lot of wasted moments were there. I love writing, and I'm doing a lot more of that now. I think I would have been a better writer. I just had a much clearer sense of who I was and less shame about telling everyone